In this town, there's no off-season. The news never stops, and neither do we. It's always game day in Cleveland with Andy Baskin and Daryl Ryder.
It is always game day in Cleveland. I'm Andy Baskin. He's Daryl Ryder. We are brought to you by Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling solutions. Daryl, obviously off today, so don't expect the actual, the suit and tie that I like to wear normally on this podcast. And I, sometimes go formal. I'll wear a tux just to make sure. So today was a no shower Wednesday, just for everybody that wanted to know as we were doing that. So that is why I am sponsored by Titleist today. Congratulations.
Well, I thought you were going to wear your birthday hat.
Oh, I was going to borrow it from you.
Oh, okay. Well, happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday to you. It's a great month for both of us.
Oh, it's the month of the Scorpio, but happy birthday to you. You're now officially once again 10 years older than me.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was more than 10 years older than you.
No,
That's why.
it's you're like 9 years and 50
couple
weeks,
days. Yeah,
51 weeks older than me.
That's how I feel on some other shows that I'm on too. Just a little point of reference.
How did you celebrate?
Just went to dinner with the family. That's all. I was happy with. I said, please don't spend any money. But dude, and you know this as a homeowner, you're like, don't waste any money on anything that is just completely a waste of money. So I said, let's just go to dinner. We'll have a nice time. So we had a nice time. We went to dinner, and it was nice. It was nice. Especially, it's a weird week too because it's Thanksgiving, and then our anniversary is at the end of the week too. So I've got a lot of things going on. But just a little title trivia.
And now we know why you didn't want to spend any money, because you have an anniversary coming up.
Happy wife, happy life, right? So little trivia before we get into the Browns. Titleist. You see the hat that I'm wearing, right? Obviously, they make the amazing golf balls, and they do a fantastic job. The signature for Titleist, though, right? I mean, that's world renowned, right? When you see that, the hat that I'm wearing, if you're watching us on YouTube, right? Do you know where that came from? I read this. This is a pretty cool story.
Yeah. Have no idea.
The secretary.
I'm guessing somebody signed a piece of paper. And
yes, it was like in the beginning when they came up with the just the brand name for the golf ball. The secretary to the president wrote the word Titleist out, and it had stuck from day one.
Really?
And this is her signature, world renowned.
Secretary to the president of the United States, or the secretary?
No, of the company, of the golf company.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would have been a much cooler story if, like, it was Mrs. Lanningham from The West Wing that came up with the Titleist.
It's better than X Out, the balls that I use, the official sponsor of Andy Baskin. X Out, when you need to buy 10,000 balls that you know you're going to lose, and you go to Walmart and buy those. That's me. Balls that'll end up in the water. All right, let's talk about the Browns, because I think that's why most people tuned into this thing. What's the latest from Berea right now? Obviously, still feeling good over that win, but I mean, it feels like it's been an eternity since they played, and it's going because I just unplugged my headset, and so now I got to find the other side of it, and this is what I'm doing, Daryl. So as you cover for me, I'm showing everybody watching on YouTube, and I'm going to plug it back in. What's going on in Berea?
And Andy's going to plug it back in, and then his microphone is not going to work again. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. Does the mic work?
The mic does work. There you go.
Oh, it works. Yeah. Yes. Victory. Not much, because they didn't practice on Wednesday.
Yeah, that kind of
Monday. Stefanski gave them the day off on Wednesday from practice. They had walkthrough. They had meetings and whatnot. They will practice on Thursday. They'll practice Friday, walk through on Saturday, hop on a plane, head for Denver, get there Saturday so they can acclimate to the mile-high air. And, of course, the game isn't until Monday night, so they should have plenty of time to do that. And Jameis Winston revealed to us they actually have an altitude room within their own facility out there in Berea.
They do?
Yeah, where guys can, get cardio in and things like that. While simulating being a mile high and stuff like that. So maybe this isn't going to be as big of a deal. The Browns are 4-14, including playoffs all time in Denver, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, back in 2018, I believe it was. They did beat the Broncos.
Yes, they did. I had a guy calling the show all week going, the Browns have never won in Denver. The Browns have never. I'm like 2018. They won a couple years ago. In fact, I think the first time the Browns ever went to Denver. They won that game or the second game or something like that. They've won it, like you said, 4 times. So
Yeah, but it's rare. Like, you know,
yeah,
14 is not great. And of course, you know, Bo Nix is playing really, really well. A lot of guys, you know, mentioning this week how he doesn't look like a rookie quarterback out there at times. So, you know, it's going to be challenging. They got big physical wide receivers as well. That's going to be, you know, an interesting matchup there for the Browns secondary. But yeah, I mean, it is a long week. It is an elongated week for the Browns to prepare for this particular game. And again, Kevin Stefanski's taking them out a day early so that he won't say it. And it is kind of funny because Kevin doesn't want to talk about the altitude out there at all. But let's be honest about it, Andy. It is a thing. It really is a thing. Juan Thornhill, we talked to him on Monday about a variety of things, including his effort leading back to that 71-yard touchdown by Valdez-Scantling and the Saints there, where he was seen just kind of, you know, not exactly with the afterburners on, not exactly putting the pedal to the metal, trying to go get him. And how he got called out by coaches for that. And he don't want that to ever happen again. But he did say, you know, he is a former member of the Kansas City Chiefs. The playing in Denver once a year is not a joke, and you feel it out there. So you have to take that extra time this week if you're a Browns player to really work on your cardio and your conditioning, so that you know, you don't get winded, if you will, you know, playing in that environment. And of course, you have the whole hostility of being in that particular stadium and,
right.
You know,
but these guys, I always say this all the time too. And I think fans look at it this way too. They're like, oh, we're going to Denver and the drive, the fumble, that is not even in existence for any of these players.
Yeah.
Most of them weren't born.
Yeah. The ghost of John Elway doesn't exist. These guys really don't even know who John Elway is. That stadium is long gone. Mile High, the original Mile High Stadium.
It was a fun place to go, though. I mean, it wasn't like a corporate. I miss old Mile High because it didn't have that corporate feel that all the stadiums have now. It was like sitting in the dog pound, but it was a little bit more organized than the dog pound. You were behind all those fences, and I was lucky enough to go there for a couple games. So back in the day, for old people, yeah.
Yeah, well, as we know, all the older stadiums were always more fun. They were dumps, but they were always more fun, I think, than you know, a lot of the current stadiums that get built because they're just so tall and massive, and fans are so far away from the game.
Oh, Dallas is the worst. I know we've talked about that before.
Yeah,
too.
Jerry World.
And
we can't see where the football's you know, coming at them, depending which end zone you're working in and out of because of the sunlight coming through. But yeah, it's kind of like you know, it's Thanksgiving week, by the way. Happy Thanksgiving to you and all of our listeners. But yeah, like it's just kind of not a lot of spice right now. You know what I mean? Just it's like just coming off the Steeler win, the Snow Globe game, and you know, so I don't know what to expect Monday night in Denver, to be honest with you.
I don't either, but I do think it's important for this team to keep getting victories because it just kind of makes things a little bit easier if they want to keep coaches. And, you know, if they win a couple games.
I don't think that's going to be an issue, though, Andy.
Yeah, I know. But it's, you know, you think about it. If they end the season with 3 wins, Daryl, it still looks ugly. It's going to look ugly no matter what. So,
yeah. And, but yeah, I just don't think that. I think that what's going on behind the scenes right now is the Browns at the management level realize how bad they screwed up with the Deshaun Watson trade and the consequences. And
are they kind of admitting it then?
No, well, I think privately they are, but I think they're trying to figure out publicly how they're going to handle this disaster. But but my point in bringing that up is that's why people aren't going to get fired.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Because like everybody had a hand in that mess, right?
Yeah.
So you can't just hold one person accountable for it. Recognize that. And I want to talk about this next segment because I ran some numbers real quick. The Jameis Winston effect.
Okay, let's do that.
Versus what they started with this season in the first 7 games with Deshaun Watson versus the 7 games with Jameis Winston at quarterback. And there's a reason he went 2-2 and the Browns started 1-6 with Deshaun Watson.
I've got one for you too. I want to play a game called How to Provoke Your Family with Browns topics at Thanksgiving. So that'll be a fun one too. We'll do all of that when we come back. It's always game day in Cleveland. It's always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. Thank you for listening on the Odyssey app, or if you're watching us on YouTube. We also want to thank our friends at Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling experts for Thanksgiving. And we'll talk about Browns topics that will aggravate your family if you want to bring them up. But I want to go back to the Jameis Winston effect, a nice little genre that you brought up before we went to break. What do you got?
Well, so in the first 7 games, the Browns offense was scrapping together about 15, 16 points per game, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the 4 games since, with Jameis Winston at quarterback, the Browns offense now is scoring just under 20 points per game. So, yeah, I'd say 5 points is a pretty significant bump, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would. Significant. Anytime you get closer to 20, I'm happy.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson was throwing for an average of 164 yards per game in his 7 starts. In Jameis Winston's 4 starts, he's already surpassed Deshaun Watson's passing yardage this year. And
in 4 starts?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you weren't depressed by that, right?
Yeah.
Winston is averaging 296 passing yards, just under, or 296 passing yards per game. It's like 295 and, point something. So that just gives you the stark contrast between the two, which leads me to potentially have to retract an earlier take that I had about just firing people just to make, folks happy. And
wait, are you saying you're sorry to folks that are out there? No,
I might have to. All right,
Daryl Ryder, I want you to. This is Daryl Ryder Presents. He's sorry. Daryl, what are you sorry about?
I'm sorry for asking for people to be fired.
Oh,
when it turns out that maybe the whole problem is the one person that needs to be fired is the quarterback that makes $230 million over 5 years. Because what we're seeing is with him not on the field, the offense runs a lot better.
Didn't we see that last year with Joe Flacco? Like everyone saw that last year?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just
and they're scoring more, they're gaining more yardage, they're better in situations and execution. And I'm just thinking that maybe it's all Deshaun's fault at this point.
Really?
And I might just have to point the finger at number 4.
And for everything.
Yeah.
Should Amari Cooper be pointing the finger at number 4 then too?
Well, number 4 is a big reason why Amari Cooper hated being here.
Yeah.
Right.
But he did love playing with Joe Flacco, didn't he?
I mean, Jerry Jeudy has emerged with Jameis. We've seen Cedric Tillman emerge with Jameis at quarterback, right?
Right.
So I don't know. I hate to break out to jump to conclusions, Matt, here. Deep Office Space reference there.
I'm with you.
But it's looking like that the problem might not be the coaches.
It took you this long to figure that out because I think everybody else has realized that.
It's just now I feel comfortable saying it. I'm not really worried about hurting anybody's feelings or anything.
So do me, just in 1 minute because I know this is a whole show, fix it for the Browns. How do they fix that next year? If what you're saying is true and the front office believes it's true, fix it. How do you fix it?
Don't play them.
That's all they're going to do.
Don't play them. 52-man roster if you have to. Don't play them. Plain and simple.
Backup?
No, you probably aren't going to you're not going to compete at the level that you expect to by having an elite quarterback, right?
Right.
But just don't put that guy on the field and your offense will at least be watchable. Because that's what this comes down to, right?
Right.
I mean, the offense now is watchable. They went 4 for 4 on 4th down the other night. They still suck on 3rd down, but like they move between the 20s. They have more scoring opportunities with Winston on the field. Receivers, catch are getting better targets and able to catch the ball easier, right? Mm-hmm. So Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just simple. Don't play Deshaun next year. Plain and like that's it. You make you're gonna have to probably sacrifice. You already sacrificed this year. You're probably gonna have to sacrifice next year. Winston was asked about coming back next year, and he said it's not something he's really thought about. But
Really, you really think he hasn't thought about that at all?
but
Really?
he has felt like Cleveland has embraced him, and he's embraced Cleveland, and he really enjoyed the snow game, and all that kind of thing. So here's my concern at this point. Jameis might price himself out of the Browns budget.
Jeff and I have been saying that every week. Like, the better he plays, the odds of him coming back, I think, get slimmer and slimmer. Someone else is going to want him, and he might have a chance. Although, if you tell him he's going to start here, that might make a difference. He could still make maybe more money as a backup on another team if they've got the cap space to do it. So
right.
I find that super interesting. All right, I want to get in. That was the bad news. Let's talk about the good news. Myles Garrett was the AFC Defensive Player of the Week, and man, he looked so good before the snow started falling. So, I mean, he really took control of a lot of things, and we know he has the ability to do that. We've known that since day one. So, what did you think about Myles' accolade, and what were they saying in Berea about it?
Well, I mean, the first sack came like on third down and resulted in a longer field goal attempt that was missed. The second one was a strip sack, fumble recovery, and then the third one ended the first half. So they were impactful sacks. It wasn't just I got this from the league office. They sent this out.
A bill?
Are you ready for what Myles Garrett is in line to do this season?
Tell me, my friend. Tell me.
Here we go. So Garrett now is 4 sacks away. He's got 10. Needs to get to 14 to become the first player to reach the mark in 4 consecutive seasons. Garrett also can become the third player since 1982 to get 13 sacks in 5 or more of his first 8 seasons, joining Reggie White, who did it 7 times, and TJ Watt, who did it 5. He can become the second player to reach 12 sacks in 5 straight seasons, joining Lawrence Taylor. You've heard of him.
Wow.
From 85 to 89. He can become the 4th player to reach 10 sacks in 7 or more of his first 8 seasons, joining Reggie White, 8, Von Miller, 7, DeMarcus Ware, 7. He needs to get to, let's see here. He's 1.5 sacks shy of 100 career sacks, which would make him the 4th fastest player to do that. Passing guys like DeMarcus Ware, you've heard of him.
Yes.
Only Reggie White and TJ Watt have done it faster. He can become the 5th player with at least 100 sacks in his first 8 seasons, joining Reggie White, DeMarcus Ware, Jarrett Allen, and TJ Watt. And it's a lot. He can become the first player with 100 career sacks prior to his 29th birthday. Garrett turns 29 on December 29th. That is to put in perspective the greatness that is Myles Garrett. I know that was a lot for folks to listen or watch.
Right.
But I wanted to read all that for a specific purpose, and that was to just really illustrate the greatness that we have seen from Myles Garrett. And it's just, once again, why I have no interest. You could offer me all the draft picks in the world. I have no interest whatsoever in trading that man.
I'm with you. Why would you ever like that? Always bothers me when we're like, oh, we're going to trade good talent because contract this, or we're going to stink, so we should that's just such a loser's mentality. I can't stand it. If you've got a good player, why wouldn't you hang on to him? So I agree with you. I'm glad he won the award this week. And he, it's something to watch. Excuse me.
By
For
the way,
at least the
4th time in his career he's won the weekly award.
So I mean, you would probably think he's going to have a chance to win the big thing too at the end of the year too.
Yes. Paul Stefanski said, he goes, hey man, I don't have a vote, but just you run out of things to say when you watch him week to week and what he has to deal with. Holding calls that don't get called.
Yeah, never get called. You're right. Totally agree.
Never draws holding flags. And I think I've said this on the podcast before. So we have 2 licensed picture services that we use as a station,
right?
For our website and for station-owned social media. I can't use them on mine, but you'll see them on, if you follow 92.3 The Fan on any of our social channels, any picture. So every week when I search Myles Garrett for like the latest Myles Garrett photo, there's at least 3 photos of him being held. They're just, or they're tugging, or it's no flags, but every week good for 3 to 5 photos of Myles Garrett just being blatantly held by offensive linemen and tight ends with no flags called. And yet he's able to just power. He gets the LeBron treatment, right? Remember?
Exactly. Especially when he was like in his first, second year. LeBron got it.
Early in LeBron's career, he would go through 5 guys hitting him as he's rolling down the lane. No fouls would be called, and he'd still finish at the rim, right? And that's the treatment that Myles gets. And it's just, and I guess it's one of those things. If you could get real flag happy real fast with it, but I just feel like you got to do it at least once a game to keep opposing offensive linemen honest, right? Just throw at least one holding flag a game. Myles deserves.
It's not going to happen though. It's not going to happen, Daryl.
No, I can't. Honestly, I can't remember the last time Myles Garrett drew a holding flag.
Because it's just because it could happen on every play. All right, let's do this. Let's come back. I want to
plays and no flag gets thrown. But yeah, so that whole spiel I went through, that just gives you a glimpse of just the greatness that is Myles Garrett and how historic his career is. And someone please go get TJ Watt a tissue, will you?
All right, let's go back. We're going to play the provoking game on Thanksgiving that you can play with your family on Browns topics or anything else you want to bring up, Daryl. So we're going to do that when we come back. It's always game day in Cleveland. All right, it's still always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. We are brought to you by Smiley One and Bryant, Northeast Ohio's premier heating and cooling solution. Daryl, I've thought about this the other day, and I actually wrote a column on this too. Like, if you really want to aggravate your relatives at Thanksgiving and you're looking for something to talk about other than politics, I have a number of topics that I've thought of that you could really just agitate everybody sitting at the table. And Daryl, I'm sure you've got plenty of those.
I need to take some notes because I have a feeling I'm going to need this material.
Okay. Here you're going to get the questions. So Daryl, I don't think you'll be, you know when to walk out of the argument because you do this for a living. So do I. So, all right, here you go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Number 1, Deshaun Watson will be the quarterback when the Browns start the season next year. If you really want to impress your family and aggravate everybody, maybe perhaps have stuff thrown at you, that probably will happen if you do that. That to me, I think, is one of a couple aggravating topics that you could bring up if you really want to agitate.
So what this is basically how to start a Thanksgiving table food fight without discussing politics.
Absolutely. This is your diversion from politics. Like if you start hearing left, right, all those things, and you really want to get out of it, and you'll be fine. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to really be mad at you over a sports topic, right? Although they will be on this one. Dome. Just be 100% all in and for it, and you will drive someone absolutely crazy.
By the way, Denzel Ward, we learned this week, not a fan of the dome.
He didn't say he was anti-dome. He just kind of said he was no dome.
So that he's anti-dome. If he's no dome, that's anti-dome.
Yeah, but I don't think, like if he moved into a dome, he wouldn't be upset is kind of I was the one that asked him the question. So,
yeah, but I'm just saying, if you would prefer no dome, then you're anti-dome.
I don't know that you're anti-dome. Anti-dome would be like, there's just no way you can't do this.
To have mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving dinner, I'm anti-mashed potatoes.
You cannot be anti-mashed potatoes.
I'm not saying that I'm anti. I'm just using that as an example. I am anti-stuffing. Absolutely.
I don't like stuffing either.
Yeah. So I would not prefer stuffing at Thanksgiving dinner, which means I am anti-stuffing. Is that
and by the way, this whole notion of how to provoke your family started with the pregame show from the other day, because the question of turkey being overrated came up.
Oh, it's grossly overrated.
I totally agree, man. Gerard Cherry, though, listen, Gerard Cherry went on his soapbox and went for almost 3 minutes telling you how many different ways turkey can be great and why turkey is the greatest thing ever and blah, 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 blah. And
I like shaved turkey sandwiches, real super thin turkey slices.
Yes.
But as a chunk of meat to eat on a plate, no. Anything that I have to bathe, okay? In this case, you have to bathe your turkey in gravy and then chug gravy as well to get it down after you're done chewing it. No.
Nathan Zagura brought up a great point as we passed each other in the press box the other day. He said, Why aren't there any turkey restaurants?
Bingo.
Chinese food, American food, chicken places, burger places. There's no turkey places, are there?
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah, and I agree with that. So that was an excellent call, and you've deviated once again from politics. So good job, Daryl Ryder. I had other topics too about the Browns, and obviously dome. You could go down a number of dome topics, like you could be pro this, anti this, pro that. So the dome is a number one high level conversation provoker during Thanksgiving dinner.
And also, by the way, you can throw in a little fact into the conversation now that they have secured the strip of utility land that was dividing
the landing strip part of it, right?
Yes, they have secured the landing strip. That's a good way to put it. Landing
because it's so close to the airport. That's why we call it the landing strip.
So they can now work to get those utilities, those massive utility lines. They can now work to get those the hell out of the way so they can build. So that is another obstacle that has been removed.
Do you have any hardcore? There's other ones I can do too. Like you could say Stephen Vogt didn't deserve to be the manager of the year in baseball because he didn't turn in the lineup card. I mean, let's face it, the front office was doing the lineup cards every game. So at least that's what I've been told. So, and that's true across Major League Baseball. But Vogt had to manage within the game, so that's why I think he deserved to be manager of the year.
Calling down to tell him when to pull the pitchers and when to pinch hit and who to pinch hit, and because I don't.
If you listen to Brian Anderson every Friday on our show, he will tell you that the word comes down from the front office on almost everything.
Okay.
You buying that?
No, because I don't think you're allowed to have communication to the dugout in the middle of a game.
You could be told before the game if you really want to.
Well, yeah, you remember.
The other thing too is that like NCAA football players,
he walks into the manager's office and they're talking and whatever, and he says, "Well, I would have preferred so and so out of the pen first, and then I don't care
based on this analytics too."
Right, exactly. So, I'm sure those conversations happen.
Yeah, no, I believe that as much as I believe NCAA football players didn't get paid before NIL, and what else didn't happen? Oh, the Astros didn't cheat in the World Series either, right? That didn't really happen, did it? They earned that one, right?
The asterisks, as I call them.
Thank you. Cavaliers is another topic you could bring up during Thanksgiving if you want to. Again, I'm just putting this out there.
Gatorade to generate with the Cavs right now. Come on.
You can easily do that. All you do is say 2 words: soft schedule.
Oh, get out of here.
I'm not saying that I believe everything I'm telling you right now.
They played like 18 games in 23 days, and like their next 18 games are going to be played over 40 days. Like they
look like over the next 18 games.
They played like more back-to-backs than anyone did early in the season and stuff. So that ain't a soft schedule. No way.
Okay, well, I'm just saying this though. It's not that I believe any of the things that I'm saying. I'm just poking the bear.
Okay.
Well, Daryl, you're very good at that.
Yeah, that worked. You just poked the bear.
I won. I just won, and I stopped you from talking politics. That's the beauty of this game. Okay. Daryl, have you learned anything about this game?
Yeah.
And that is?
That you can say really absurd stuff to get me to yell.
It's not too hard. Evan O'Brien, our executive producer of this show, because you're the only producer on the show, so that makes you the executive producer. Curious if you have actually learned anything from this game.
Yeah. I mean, it's very easy to use if people care about sports, because that's the one tricky thing I find with like family Thanksgiving stuff is some people are like, they care more about Dancing with the Stars or whatever.
Yes.
You get a sports fan at the Thanksgiving and you just say some crazy shit like I think Aaron Rodgers should be back next season as the Jets quarterback. It's gonna get people going,
See? So you have learned. So will you try this game for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I definitely.
Here's one for you.
Yes.
Daniel Jones or Aaron Rodgers to compete with Jameis Winston to be the Browns starting quarterback in 2025.
See how fun this is going to be? We've changed your entire Thanksgiving, and we're glad that we were able to do it. I mean, I feel good for that. Evan, I also want to thank you on this day of thanks over the next couple of days for doing an outstanding job. As you've taken over as producer of the show, you've been outstanding, and we do appreciate you. I know Daryl feels the same way I do. If he doesn't, he's going to tell you right now. So,
no, I echo every word that Andy has said, and I have said as much to Evan privately.
Oh, well, okay. So you guys are now having conversations behind my back. So Evan and Daryl will be back for the next edition of It's Always Game Day in Cleveland because they've already written me out of the show. Boys, thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving. Evan, thank you for all you do. Daryl, and the same to you. I always appreciate doing the show with you. It's always fun, and I always enjoy it.
Yep. Hope everyone enjoys that dry turkey with your bowl of gravy and your mashed potatoes and stuffing and whatever else you have on Thanksgiving. Enjoy it. And let's just, you know what I'm hoping to be thankful for?
Yes, what?
The triple header of football games do not suck on Thanksgiving, because I am very concerned that it is going to be a craptastic day of football, which means I'm not going to be all that upset that I'm driving an hour and a half to and from my parents' house.
Through the snow. All right, that's it. Evan, thank you. Daryl, thank you. Everybody, thank you for listening all year long. Of course, we've got more Browns coming up after the break, but thank you, and go Browns. And, of course, it's always game day in Cleveland.